Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulai Agbayani, right alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Michael Iscaro will join us a little later in the show. Again, I think there's kind of some crazy traffic going on this morning. So everybody drive safe and be patient and get to your destination, again, safely, as we will welcome in Michael a little later, probably in hour number 2. But happy to have you guys with us. This is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Thank you for joining us on this Aloha Friday, the last day of the first quarter of the year. My goodness, had to do a double take when I was looking at the date this morning. Like, oh yeah, all right, April is already tomorrow, which is just flying by. And this is one of those crazy weeks that we were telling you guys about all throughout last week. Tomorrow we have HPU baseball taking on University of Hawai'i Manoa, which we will definitely get into. That wild game that happened yesterday for the Basebos, the comeback victory, as you would say. And then so we'll have that game, HPU and UH, tomorrow at 6:30. On Wednesday we have OIA baseball for you guys. That'll be at 3:00 p.m. Waianae versus Farrington. On Friday, as you may have heard the promo right there, we have OIA girls flag football, Lelehua and Pearl City at 5:30 p.m. And then at 6:45 we have Mililani and Waialua. Again, that's this Friday. And then Saturday we have another broadcast. It's like, but wait, there's more. So Saturday afternoon we have Kailua versus Kaiser baseball. So OIA baseball game. A couple of the top teams in the East right now will be a fun one. That's at 3:00 p.m. So packed week. A lot of stuff to get into today. But before we get into all of it, how are we doing, Paul? How's it going today?
I'm good. I just sneezed. That was nice. A bit of a release. No, I'm great. I mean, the Basebos came back, had an incredible victory. Oh yeah, that's probably important too. Basebos had an incredible victory. We had some fun Elite 8 games on both sides. Obviously, the women's matchups continue today. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well, Koo. I can't complain all that much, and that's tough for me. I find something to complain about all the time.
No, you don't. You're positive, Paul. That's what.
All right, fine.
That's your
fair,
MO.
Fair. That's
By
fair.
the way, for all of our YouTube viewers right now, again, it's Monday, so we are streaming live on our YouTube channel. And if you can notice in back of me, we have panels again, so it's no longer a plain white wall in back of me, and no longer we have an entire studio, a soccer ball now, so we can start to get up all of our decor, some of our flags, so it'll start to look a little less plain here in the studio. So it's pretty cool to walk in, and to be honest, I did not notice it right away, so failure on me, but thank you to our AC Custodio who came in and was able to complete our wall. There's like only that one panel there, but other than that, we are good to go now, and it's less plain. So if you guys noticed it right when we jumped on, because yeah, I did not notice it right away.
I did. Don't worry, guys.
He did. I only noticed it like
You're
after
the tiebreaker.
I was in the studio for like already 5 minutes, and then I realized, oh, it's up there now.
That was the second sentence I said. I was like, oh, hey, and then I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you're a lot better than I am.
Well, no,
I am kind of still waking up.
I am a creature of habit more than I think you and Michael. Like, all three of us are, but I think I stick to habit most. So when anything that is unfamiliar comes across my radar, I'm almost immediately like, whoa, wait, what are you doing? What's going on here?
I don't even know. Well, I am still a little bit half asleep, so that's probably why.
That is absolutely fair. We'll wake up. There was plenty of exciting stuff that happened over the weekend to get us jazzed up a little bit. You know how it goes.
Just a little bit. All right. So, big weekend or big day yesterday, actually. Whoa, hello, Caesar. Caesar is like a plethora of comments already as I'm just logging into our YouTube. But hello, Caesar, and to our other viewers
feel better
on
about
our
my
YouTube.
article lengths.
Big game yesterday by the Basebos. If you guys didn't see it, Hawaii scoring 10 runs in the top of the 9th inning to come from behind and beat CSUN 14-10. So yes, all 10 runs to lift them up. So Hawaii going into the 9th inning, we're down 10-4. And you're just kind of thinking, is it possible? I mean, this baseball team, our baseball team is really good. It's not like they haven't done magical things before, but it's usually done at home, right? We're used to the Manoa magic, and some of that magic hasn't really followed them when they've gone on some of these road trips. But I mean, what a game for the Rainbow Warriors yesterday. It was phenomenal. And oh, there we go. I was like, we have so much graphics in here. I didn't get to delete the other ones. I actually put up the wrong one. So the Basebos coming out from behind, Kamana Nahaku, an incredible weekend, matching a school single game record with 3 home runs, giving him 5 long balls and 11 ribbies on the weekend. He's the 6th UH player ever to homer 3 times in a game, and the first since, any guesses, anybody listening or watching, the great, recently inducted UH Circle of Honors, Colton Wong, on March 15th, 2009. Additionally, Hawaii set a new program single game record for home runs as a team with 6. This is so crazy. So behind that 10-4, going into the final frame, again, the Warriors sent 13 men to the plate to score 10 runs on 7 hits. Oh my gosh. I was like rereading it and like talking about it. I just can't believe it all happened. And then it started. We got the grand slam by Draven Nushida. If you guys follow us on social media, we have some of the highlights there from that final inning. I mean, what a phenomenal performance of just not being down and, of course, being able to close out CSUN to finish off the game. But could you, like, when everything was happening, though, Paul, did you even believe, like, I tweeted about it. I'm like, this baseball game is drunk. Like, is this really happening right now? Like, are we witnessing what we're about to witness? Because it's one thing to come back. Like, when they tied it 10-10, I was like, all right, we're going to, they can close them out in the bottom. After
they tied it,
we
was
can
over.
We can go to, no, I was like, oh, could they score that many more runs?
Oh, after they tied it, I knew it was done. CSUN was all done. It was so what's funny is that we joke, oh, positive Paul. I had honestly started to accept the fact that they were just about to have a terrible series loss on the road against CSUN. We talked about it last week in case you missed our shows, where this was an opportunity for them to show that like that first road series was kind of a fluke for them in Big West play. And then I was worried. I'm like, 10-4, 6 runs. Like CSUN, they added on going into that 9th inning, and then you sit there and you're like, Hawaii has 5 total hits through the entire day. Cool. They got more hits and obviously more runs in that final inning than they did through the first 8 of them. It was unbelievable. And honestly speaking, it was, once they loaded the bases before Nushida hit the grand slam, that was the moment that I was like, are they going to do this right now? Because we've seen it. We've seen it here in the islands. We've seen the Manoa magic. We've seen them had the never say die, 7, 8, 9 bow warrior time, whatever Rich Hill phrase you want to toss out there.
Like I just mentioned, it's like it's always been the Manoa magic. At the Les, anything is possible. Like I never let out any belief when they're at the Les Murakami Stadium because
they get the last shot.
We've seen it happen in that too. We've seen it happen way more times than is like now. It's just if it doesn't happen, it's surprising at this point. But like I said, it hasn't traveled with them on the road, losing the series to not a very good UC Riverside team who only has those 2 wins in conference against Hawaii so far in the Big West. They're at the bottom of the conference right now, UC Riverside is. And then CSUN, so that's kind of the interesting thing about this Rainbow Warriors team is just not being able to travel. I mean, CSUN is second to the last in conference right now, sitting at 3-9. So fortunately for Hawaii, they were able to win that series against CSUN. But it is interesting how they don't exactly travel the best. And Rich Hill wasn't even here the last couple of games because he is dealing with a 2-game suspension after getting ejected in Friday's game for arguing a run-scoring balk. So I'm going to have to ask them about that whenever we have our media availability this week. So he's like watching it from the comfort, I guess, of his hotel room. We texted him like during that game yesterday. And of course, naturally, he didn't text back until it was actually over.
Until the game was foul. No,
what an incredible game.
It was really, really impressive. And realistically speaking, it was bad on me to have kind of written the final sentence and put a period on it in my mind because how dare you, Paul? This Rainbow Warrior team will never give up. I mean, they reached 20 wins on the season. It's the fastest in however long. I don't remember exactly how long. They continue to be outstanding, and I do think it is important that we point out that they are going through a plethora of injuries, and they've continued to go through injuries, right? Where Elijah Iquez is out. They had Jordan Donahue out for a long portion of the season. Jared Quant, I know he's playing. Can't imagine he's playing at 100%. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They go out, they win, they erase a 6-run deficit in that 9th inning. They come back with 10 runs to come back and win it. And like you said, Kamana Nahaku, who, by the way, is one of my wife's favorite players because of his hair color.
Oh, yeah.
He was outstanding the entire weekend. I think it was 5 total home runs across the 3 games, 3 of them in this game alone. And I just really, what a performance, a never say die attitude from the Rainbow Warriors, and a really important win for them as well, as they're continuing to fight to show that they will have the resume to get into the dance when the year ends.
I like Kamana too, because he kind of reminds me of myself. He has the name where the name doesn't exactly match like the face when you first see him. He sounds like someone that's like a Maui boy, right? Like that's kind of like a Maui base, and especially how he plays to a Maui name. But he's from Washington, right? Like it's like, wait a minute. And then like you said, he has the red hair and everything. So, but just phenomenal. I mean, going through this, like looking at the scoring summary at HawaiiAthletics.com. Again, we mentioned Draven Nushida, grand slam, so that scores 4, gets it to 10 and 8, and then Shunsuke Sakaino homered 2 RBI, and then
his old team.
Yeah, Matt Miura a double to bring in Jordan Donahue, and then a Quan to right field to bring in Matt Miura, and then Kahana Nahaku a homer to left field to bring in 2 more scores to bring that to Hawaii 14-10. Closing out CSUN in the bottom of the 9th, and there you go. Huge win for the Rainbow Warriors. Again, I'm just, and it was without the managing direction, I guess you can say, of Rich Hill for that interesting ejection that he had on Friday. But nonetheless, Hawaii still remains 3rd in the Big West Conference. When you take a look at the standings, Cal Poly still undefeated at the top at 9-0, followed by UC Irvine at 11-1, and then Hawaii at 8-4, followed by UC San Diego at 5-4, and then it drops off with it over there again on the road. Hawaii not having the best performances against a couple of the bottom programs in the Big West standings, but now Hawaii, again, we'll bring you the coverage of HPU versus UH Manoa tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Kyle Galdera and Alan Mia with the call. But then after that, Hawaii hosts Long Beach State this weekend, coming into town before going on their crazy road trip. So Long Beach State this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday's games at 6:35 and Sunday's game at 1:05. Head out on the road, and not only do like. Again, guys, I just said how the top teams in the conference, Cal Poly and UC Irvine, those are the 2 teams that Hawaii plays back-to-back on the road. We'll kind of like spread out. They start off with Santa Clara for a game. They have the 3-game series against Cal Poly. Then they have USC in between. And then they have the 3-game series against UC Irvine. So hopefully they've learn from these first couple of road trips and be able to carry that Manoa magic and continue that and winning on the road, because now you're going up against the top 2 teams. You struggle a little bit against the bottom 2 teams. So hopefully Hawaii can figure out something else again, like figure out their talents that need to travel with these juggernaut teams in Cal Poly and UC Irvine. All right, going to take a break. We will be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Let's go.
Welcome back, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. Live on, of course, the radio for anyone that's driving in, and at hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel as we do this in every Monday and sometimes sporadically throughout the week. So a shout out to all of our viewers that are tuning in right now on our YouTube channel. I want to get into some other exciting games that happened over the weekend. University of Hawai'i men's volleyball, of course, the Rainbow Warriors only dropping one set to UC San Diego over the weekend, which even that, it felt like, oh, how do we lose one set?
I was mad about it.
I know.
I think
like,
I tweeted.
What are we doing?
I think in my tweet, I mentioned, because in case you don't follow me, how dare you? Kidding. But I do live coverage for each game, and at the end of each set, I'll give you the final score and whatever, and then give just a quick little blurb. And I think the blurb that I gave was Hawaii loses its first conference set because they swept UC Irvine in both matches,
right.
and then swept UC San Diego to start. So I was like, this is the first time they've even lost a set, let alone, they haven't lost a match yet, and they're going to be tested against the CSUN team that will be pretty motivated after a pair of losses this past weekend. But yeah, I was like, what the heck, guys? We lost the set? And it looked like they had that same reaction in set 4, too, because they weren't very pleased about it. They quickly took set 4 on the second night.
No, and they looked kind of off, right? Like the energy was a little lackluster in that second game against UC San Diego, but then thankfully, which we'll hear a little bit of a post game from head coach Charlie Wade in just a little bit, and Charlie mentions it where I think, like the setter for UC San Diego was kind of being the one that was chippy a bit, and almost like he was the one that kind of cost his own team, because it ended up getting the crowd fired up and then getting our guys fired up, right? Like you poked the bear, and you kind of just, our team, especially when you have young guys that we saw, they get a little chippy themselves, in Louis Sakanoko, Christian Tatrisky, who Tatrisky wasn't having a great game as well, had to sit out for a little bit. Kainoa Wade comes in, and then he comes in to close out that game, and then you're just like, oh, okay, there's the Christian that we kind of know. So it was interesting. I did ask the guys, I was able to see some of them yesterday, and I was like, so what was he saying? It's like, nothing too crazy. It's just, he was just someone that was like kind of like throwing his arms up after every single, point Hawaii had, and he's just always complaining. And I'm like, I get it. I don't like when players are like that. And I mean, that's kind of like why sometimes I don't really care for LeBron James, because he can get like that too. I'm like, dude, you're the biggest guy on the basketball court, and you're crying about every single non-call. Like, get with it and just play. So I could kind of understand that. I think the funniest thing I asked Christian, actually, because you could tell he was saying some stuff too, and I asked him, and some people were saying he said certain things. So I asked him, I was like, so what exactly did you say? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, good answer. Deny till we die. Deny. But I love watching this team because they have kind of like that chippiness, and because they have all of this young talent, but it was just so fun to watch. And then that first set, again, just barely winning 27-25, 25-23, and then dropping that third one at 17-25, and then 25-18 to close it out, because on paper, we already knew Hawaii's going to be like, they're the best team. And like you just mentioned, Paul, like for them to be able to sweep Irvine and then drop a single set to UC San Diego, but you could tell, like they just, like I said, the energy, they were just a little bit off. And then Christian obviously was having a very, very bad night, and just his demeanor and everything. But anyways, before we continue our men's volleyball talk, here is what head coach Charlie Wade had to say following that match.
I gave the setter kind of an assist with certainly getting the crowd back into it, and kind of through the third set and the fourth set, he's always a little chirpy, but I think the crowd started to take exception to it and really helped to get the crowd back into it and get our guys back into it. And like you said, we were a little flat, and that kind of got us going. Yeah, that first set today was neurotic. 8 8 service errors and 13, 14 total errors and won. Like, how's that? The second set wasn't much different. We had a lead, and then kind of, but that's a good team, and then the number 10 was 4 kills, 4 errors through 2 sets, and then came out and went like 6 or 7 kills, 1 error in the third, and started off the fourth really hot, and ended up having a nice night after literally hitting 0 through 2 sets. And that's what happens. Good players play good, and guys love playing in this environment. I had a couple of guys just thanking me for the opportunity to come play. Like, they were never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's like I said, that's a good team. They've won a lot of really important matches this year, and I think they'll win some more before the season's over.
Went without Justin Todd tonight. Could you talk a little bit about your medals, Kurt, but more specifically, Ofek coming off the bench last two?
Ofek is a talented player. He was a starter earlier in the year, and Justin really elevated his game, and provides a different presence physically, that you need against the big middles. But Ofek is a high-level player. Senior national team level player for his country, and nice to have a guy like that you can go to and put out there. And he makes good volleyball plays. You see a lot of the stuff he does up around the net, kind of in chaos situations, that he's very comfortable. And we certainly needed him out there tonight, and he played well.
I always hit him with an awesome afterwards. It's always my appreciation.
Yeah, that was University of Hawaii men's volleyball head coach Charlie Wade following that match on Saturday night. And like he said, he did the setter a favor, but then at the same time, they did us a favor, kind of firing up the crowd, firing up Hawaii, and something you just don't want to do when you play the University of Hawaii. So now, though, Hawaii is at the top of the Big West Conference standings, as they are the only undefeated team so far. If you guys kind of missed it, and same thing, like, if you don't follow me on social media, how dare you? Because that was a game I was tracking. UC Irvine handed Long Beach State their very first loss of the season, and it amounted to a sweep. So if we were thinking Hawaii was having an off game, I mean, Long Beach State, the number 1 ranked team in the country, which will be kind of interesting to see how the polls maybe change up a little bit. It should be released a little later this morning on Monday. So, I mean, seeing that Long Beach State now is number 2, should Hawaii take care of business against CSUN? I mean, as if we couldn't already talk about how massive these couple of matches are going to be against Long Beach State in the Stan Sheriff Center. It's even more wild now, because depending on how the standings or the national poll shakes up, they're going to come into town and just want to be able to steal and upset Hawaii. Well, I don't know. Whoever wins, I feel like it's not an upset. It's just going to be good volleyball, and hopefully we get more than 3 sets each night, because, again, UC Irvine sweeping Long Beach State last week Friday, but then Long Beach State redeeming that loss and was able to sweep UC Irvine when they played them again on Saturday. But the weird thing is, like, they actually swept them at home, too. Like, and the Walter Pyramid, they have a lot of fans as well. People turn out for men's volleyball there. So it would almost be similar to a team that you should have beat coming into the stand and then sweeping Hawaii. Like, it was just kind of a weird, wonky day. And I was so surprised to see, first when Irvine took the first set from Long Beach, I was like, okay, well, Long Beach maybe just started off slow. But then as the game progressed, and then Irvine coming out with the win, I'm like, whoa, did that really just happen?
The sweep was what surprised me with that one. It just continues to show the depth of the Big West Conference, though, night in, night out. And that's why I am going to caution us from looking ahead at Long Beach State, because you do have to go on the road. You do have to take care of business against the CSUN team, who I understand is 0-4 up until this point. They were ranked top 10 in the country this week, though. So that's a team that very clearly has talent. You can't look over that. You have to take care of business, because in order for that Long Beach State match and really weekend to matter, you still have to win those matches. You still have to go. And it's not to suggest that they won't go take care of business. This is a team that we've seen literally against the top level competition in the country take care of business. But I will give the Matadors a little bit of respect as we get into this conversation. But yeah, Long Beach State doing the thing that I expected them to do after falling, though, where they come back with a sweep of their own. It's a team who, as you kind of talk about, you hope that it's not just 3 sets either way when they do come to the Stan Sheriff Center, because it's so good for volleyball when these top-level programs get together. It's why you saw it was fun against USC. Even why it was fun against UC San Diego. It's a very strong program, one that is on the rise. And when you have the fans of Hawaii in there as well, it just makes for a really, really fun night. I'm curious as to why UC San Diego thought they needed to poke the bear. I will say that. I thought that was really stupid.
I feel like that might just be his personality, and it doesn't work here.
I understand that being your personality, but know your opponent, know what's going on here, where kind of what you said before, we have multiple players on the Hawaii roster that feed off of that energy, not to mention Hawaii has more fans than any other home venue in all of men's volleyball, period. End of sentence. The sentence ends right there, folks. Why would you get 6,000 plus people who are already looking for any reason to root against you? Why would you get them riled up when you're starting to find some momentum? Shut up. Just shut up. It's so simple. It is so simple. And instead, the brother wanted to just start up a fight with an army, a literal army. Like that is what the Rainbow Warrior fan base is. I mean, it was deafening in there. And yeah, it kind of woke up a sleeping giant, which is funny to say because it's not like it was quiet in there to begin with. It's not like, the fans weren't engaged from the very start or whatnot. But I don't know, there was kind of a glazed over like, oh yeah, we're winning. And then maybe it is that they lost the set and then all of a sudden you locked in and saw the full force of not just the Rainbow Warriors, but the fans as well.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too, right? Like, and I know you don't want to look ahead, as you just mentioned, to Long Beach State. I do want to point out, though, and we'll talk about it more when that week actually comes, but I was talking to Christian yesterday, and he was saying how, if you guys aren't aware, Long Beach State has a very their own freshman phenom in their setter, Nikolov over there. That's part of the reason why they are so good this year. But he is also from Bulgaria, just like Christian Tatrisky, and they have actually been teammates. So they were teammates in Bulgaria, like national team stuff, club teams over there. So this is actually going to be the first time that they are going to be on the opposite side of the net and play against each other. They've always been on the same team throughout their young careers in their home country. And so when I talked to Christian, he's like, oh yeah, there's going to be some fun smack talk, because he's like all in love though. But if there's anything more that gets elevated than talking smack to someone you just don't have a relationship, it gets elevated when it's your actual friend, because then you can just keep going. So it'll be kind of interesting. I can imagine a lot of it will be in their native tongue, so we might not understand some of the smack talking.
Probably for the best.
But it's just going to be very, very if we thought this was chippy, I think that Long Beach State one is going to be even funnier, just because you'll have two actual friends and teammates, only been teammates all their life until when Long Beach State comes into town, which will be kind of fun to watch. But anyways, got to take a break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Thank you for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 and streaming live on our YouTube channel every single Monday. We appreciate you guys. You can text in or comment on the live chat, but you can text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. And Paul and I were kind of talking during the break a little bit because I was mentioning how our guys, especially because they have so much youth, they do tend to get riled up and they kind of feed off of that energy. But nothing is funnier than when Louis goes up for the kill and nails someone in the face. Like, he's done it so many times, but every time he does that, he goes under the net and he basically goes to see, oh, like, are you okay? Or like, say sorry. But it's like the most extra thing to do. He doesn't have to do that, but it gets me every single time because it's just like, and he does it. He's done it quite often where he just nails someone and they take a shot in the face and then he moseys on over there like, oh, are you okay? You know, it's just so hilarious to me. And I chuckle every time. And Louis Sakanoko, it's just...
So I used to do this thing when I played basketball and I would knock somebody over or I'd foul them or they'd go to the ground or whatever. You know, sometimes people won't help you up.
Yeah.
I would always offer my hand out like this to help somebody up, knowing damn well that sometimes they didn't want my help to be lifted up and that they would kind of stiff me, and then I'd stand there just like this after they had gotten up 2-3 seconds just to kind of rub it in, just to show, hey, I'm a good guy, you know, I'm the one who's trying to be a good. That's kind of what it feels like Louis do it every time, where it's like, yeah, he's drilling these guys in the face with whatever attack, but then he's going over and he's showing he's a good sportsman, but also just reminding everybody that he just drilled these people right in the face.
Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious.
Oh, it kills me.
But that, like, I just forgot too. One other thing. So if you guys are wondering, because I keep saying I talked to them yesterday, so we kind of like shout out to Jeff from Outrigger, hosted. I'm pulling up the picture for you guys now on our YouTube. A little Sunday barbecue for the men's volleyball team, and it's really cool because some of this other girl that lives in our building, she was playing tennis, which the tennis court is kind of right next to the barbecue area, and she totally like gave up on playing tennis when she noticed like who was hanging out like with the like right next to her. I guess she's a huge volleyball fan, and I kind of saw her from afar go up to Jakob first and kind of ask like, are you Jakob? And he, you know, nodded his head, and then she's like, her eyes just like completely lit up. It was so cute to see because it's like, and obviously as they were so gracious with her, like, and she went around, talked to all of them, and was just again, she totally like neglected the tennis after that. She's like, I'm done. Like, I'm in heaven right now with the men's volleyball team. Charlie had, as he always does, has like the extra like men's volleyball coins on him, gave her a coin. She was so ecstatic. And that was pretty cool where we could, by, I guess, not trying to make a fan's day. So that was really, really cool. Cause I was wondering, I was like, people that live in our building aren't really like, they don't strike me as UH fans, most of them that I see in passing, but that was really cool. And I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if anybody will recognize or just kind of think like, man, these guys are really tall that are hanging out. But that was so cool that she, was just in heaven, got to like hang out with them, and just, we completely like welcomed her and one of the other ladies that she was with into our barbecue area, and just like, hang out. And like you said, like, they're always gracious. So it was really nice to be able to kind of make someone's day. But that's why I keep referencing like that I got a chance to talk to some of the players yesterday, and Christian, knowing that he had an off night, he referred to Saturday night. It was like, that was the Frenchies night. It was the French night.
The Frenchies
because
night.
Louis had a big
Allez
night.
les bleus.
Yeah, and Louis had a big night. Obviously, Roar had a big night. I mean, that final kill, I texted you guys.
They were incredible.
That final kill to end the match from the back row, the attack that he does so well, and it always gets me fired up when he comes in from the back row. And then, of course, dropping an S-bomb on the Spectrum broadcast after the show.
What's an S bomb? I don't know.
That I cannot say.
The FCC's on line one. Sorry, guys.
If we were only on YouTube, I could completely say what he said, but I can't say
Do you
it
want me to
because
say
we're
it
on
in
radio.
French for you? No, I'm kidding, guys.
No.
I'm kidding. Oh my goodness. They were really, really fun, and I do think that is the most incredible part of this team is they have every right in terms of their God-given ability and talents and whatever when it comes to volleyball to be almost prima donna-like, especially like within this realm, within the men's volleyball realm. I don't know many teams who are as star-studded as the Rainbow Warriors are. Mm-hmm. You would never know it. You would think this is a Division III men's volleyball team who like is a club team. They just enjoy playing it for the love of the game. They're competitive guys, whatever. They're so gracious when they're out in public. Post game, even after losses, a lot of times they're very kind. They never take out their frustrations of the night on fans, media members, whatever it may be. Like it really is a testament to the character of these young men and the people within the program, just how good they are, not just while they're representing the University of Hawaii within the Stan Sheriff Center, but outwards where, like you mentioned, a barbecue or a team event or even just a random day at the beach. You see them, they're always happy to chat with you. They're always happy to be here. It really is incredible, especially, like I mentioned, with the level of talent that they are. How many times have you seen people and players be prima donnas, I'm too good for you? Never, never, never do you get that from these guys.
Dude, they're like famous. Like That's what I mean. It's crazy. And if you guys didn't see it on our YouTube channel already, we put up some of the post-game audio. So you heard a little bit from Charlie a little earlier in the show, but we have the video and also from Tread Rosenthal. I didn't play the Tread one because it doesn't really translate that well if it's audio only, but you can watch it on our YouTube channel. And within like less than, 24 hours of posting it on our YouTube, it had like over 500 views already, and then I think it's over 1,000 now. Just like a little short clip, had the Aloha ball from Saturday night as well, and it's just a bunch of people and like 30 something likes, which is really good for our YouTube. And I think we got 10 more subscribers. Like, it's crazy how popular this men's volleyball team is, and just this men's volleyball program. Obviously, we talk about Jakob, who I forgot to ask Jakob how long he is here for, but you've seen him on the bench. He was at the barbecue yesterday. Yeah, I was
is he just like an honorary assistant coach now?
I gotta find out. I'm sure they probably mentioned it on the broadcast or something, but yeah, I haven't been able to really ask him.
It makes me chuckle every
he's
time. Well, because the people of Hawaii love him for good reason. He's awesome.
Or maybe it's the off. I got to check his professional team. Maybe it's the off season.
That was where my mind just started to go. Whereas, like, maybe he's done with his professional team, his contract, or whatever it may be. It's the off season, and I mean, I'll put it like this: I can think of a lot worse places to spend the off season than Hawaii, because I come from New York, where we have the snowbirds, right? The old people who go down to Florida during the winter time. If I had that option to do that for Hawaii, I would take that every single time, especially if I'm basically a state hero there for their men's volleyball program.
I mean, I know Jakob has said like he would essentially, once his professional career is done, he considers Hawaii his home, and he said he wants to like retire here eventually. And then we kind of joke because he, just like a lot of the foreign student athletes, they do love their poke bowl. So I think it was on the broadcast where it's like, hey, maybe he can open a poke bowl shop whenever his career is done, and that can be what he does here in Hawaii. So yeah, he's been around, and like obviously what that team did, even like Stein Van Tilburg, like that was a crazy time when they did not even drop. I mean, we thought it was crazy how Hawaii dropped that one set to UC San Diego. Like that Stein Van Tilburg team, like I think it was his senior year. They didn't drop a set like for majority of the season. It was wild. Like it was just the volleyball games were so quick. They were just annihilating everybody. And yeah, it was phenomenal to watch. So this team though, like we said, there's just the numbers on our YouTube channel, and every time we have volleyball stuff is just so interesting to watch. Even when you think like, oh, this is just a short video, not much, but that's what it is. Oh, okay. See, there. I knew our Michael knew. So Jakob is an honorary coach for the rest of the season as he rehabs after an injury. There we go. And then sister is on beach volleyball, also rehabbing injury. So
We have another tele.
Michael Escaro, like chiming in there from our text message.
How did I not know we had another tele? What the heck?
Well,
Guys.
she's injured. So
Oh, well, fine. It's on Mike. I'm blaming Michael personally. It's all Michael's fault.
it's all Michael's fault.
It's always Michael's fault.
All right, gotta step aside. We'll be back to close out hour number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. All right, to close out hour number 1, I actually kind of wanted to tell a funny story. I know Friday I was starting to tell it, and then we ran out of time. I was able to tell Paul the full story about, we were talking about the, obviously, NCAA women's basketball tournament, and one of the big games actually coming up later today will be USC and UConn. And obviously USC without the real life Juju Watkins. They do have her little Funko Pop that's been courtside, which is really cool. But without the real Juju Watkins due to tearing her ACL, and it's USC and UConn. We'll talk about the matchup a little later in the show. But yeah, and then obviously Paige Becker is coming back from injury as well. So I told you guys about how well, briefly as we were ending the show on Friday, how I tore my ACL, and had to deal with the whole rehab process. And actually the rehab part of it was, to me, more painful than actually tearing my ACL. For some reason, like it wasn't that crazy of a feeling, to be honest. But the rehab part, and especially because I don't take any, aside from when they put me under and then maybe like one pill after surgery, other than that, like I don't take any painkillers. So I was just like braving through everything, like going to sleep, feeling my knee in recovery, just like throbbing and just powering through, right? And so, but the story, I'm surprised Paul's not laughing already because it's not glamorous. So I was actually able to escape my competitive playing career.
See, I was good until you explained it that way.
I was able to escape my competitive playing career without tearing my ACL. So I don't think I've ever admitted this on air. So this is my ACL tearing story. I think I was coaching at mid-pack. I was 22, 23. Fortunately, I was still young and still very much in shape. So that way the recovery process was a lot easier. But I was coaching, and this was when I was like actively playing with my girls. So we were scrimmaging, and I like Coach Koo does not let up when I'm scrimmaging my girls at the time. I'm playing you like a regular player so that I can make you better.
Funny.
So I'm like sweaty and whatever. They go to water break and I go by the goalpost or the goal, talking to my assistant coach. I jump up on the crossbar to try to hang from it because that's what soccer players do all their lives. Like that's what we just do when we're just moseying on.
Over here.
Tried to hang from the crossbar, and so most crossbars and stuff are like painted or there's some kind of grip on it, right? And so you can naturally grip and like hang from it. But again, my hands were sweaty, and this crossbar did not have any paint on it. It was just straight metal. I did not really notice that at the time. So I jump up and then I immediately slip off the crossbar. And then my leg, it's because I wasn't anticipating to come down, like my right leg was like straight. So then I just like landed and essentially overextended it, and then it popped. And then I got up, but I didn't think I tore my ACL at first. I got up and I'm just like holding it, and I was just thinking like, wow, ow. Like,
so this is how I knew you were still young too, this next part.
I'm just like, ow. Okay. And yeah, obviously I'm the head coach. Like I can't show my girls any pain. Like I'm the coach that's like, are you hurt or are you injured? Like I'm that coach.
God.
So when they'd be like, oh, I got to go see the trainer, right? I'm the coach that's just very, like I was very hard on my girls. And so I can't show them that I'm in pain. And at the same time, I wasn't really in that much pain. So, but I get up and I'm like, ooh, now it just feels weird. Like, okay. And then I'm just like, they come back from water break and I'm just like holding it in, like walking around still like, good job. Like, let's, you guys, like, let's continue the scrimmage, but I'm just going to sit back and observe from here. I'm just going to hang out. And then my assistant coach is like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know. My knee feels weird, but I think I'm okay. It might just be like I sprained it. And I totally had no idea at the time because I thought tearing my ACL would have hurt significantly more. So that's why I thought, nah, it can't be torn. Like, no way. Like, I just hyperextended it. It was a little sore or whatever. I finished practice, like, talked to parents after, did my normal, like, show no pain, go to my car. I drove. Again, it's my right leg, so I drive. I had to go back to the office after practice. I drive. And I think it's when I got to the office after the adrenaline starts to wear off and after I'm not in front of like my kids and the parents that the pain does start to kind of set in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, this is a little sore. My coworkers were still at the office too. And they were like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Fine.
And then, like I said, the pain slowly starts to come about. And then I start kind of tearing. And my coworker is texting my other coworker who's not in the same vicinity as us. And you guys need to come down here. And it was Alan and AC at the time. And then my other coworker, Lance was the one that was kind of near me. He's like, I think she's tearing up. Like, you guys need to come check on her and take her to the hospital. And me, again, I don't like the doctor. I don't go to the hospital very often. And I'm like, it's not broken. Like, my knee is not popping out. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't see any bone.
I don't need to go to the doctor.
I can walk. It's just really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then AC them are like, I'm just going to take you.
AC and them are like, shut up.
Fine. Because I'm kind of like the little sister, right? They're like, we got to take care of her. Yeah. Like, what's going on? But then I go to the ER, and because the ER doctors aren't like specialists per se, I finally get in there. They do the little knee test to see if you tore it. And then because it was swollen already, it wasn't moving. So the doctor even said, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. Like, it's probably just a sprain. So
that's why they do imaging on these things.
So I'm like, see, it's fine.
Also, sprains are technically tears. They're just like.
Luckily I had a knee brace at home already. I put it on. The next day, I was a coach. I worked in radio and I was a server at the time. Next day, I had a shift. I was there. Like, I just put on my knee brace, torn ACL and everything, serving tables the next day. And like, I got this. And then finally, when I saw the trainer at mid-pack, he's like, oh, he referred me to one of the other doctors, and I did get an MRI, and then I ended up, and it is torn. But, like, you can't get the MRI until the swelling goes down. It's like this whole thing. And, so So it was torn. And then long story short, I had to go through that whole surgery process. And again, good thing I was still very fit and very young. So the recovery wasn't as bad as it would have been, say, if it were to happen now. Knock on wood. So because, and I was also playing women's league. So the orthopedic surgeon, when I went in the first time, he was asking me, he's like, you don't technically need to get it repaired if you're not playing soccer still, because you can survive. Like people live with it just fine. It's more of to prevent the knee from doing, like when you do lateral movements, that's essentially what the ACL is for. And I was playing women's league and I'm like, oh, I still want to play soccer though. And he's like, all right, well then you have to get the surgery. So that's the story of my life, everybody.
Like I said, I knew you were young still when that happened, because I think even at my ripe old age of 25 now, if I came down and hyperextended my knee after jumping up like that, my immediate thought would be, oh, I probably just tore something. Like just immediately. But when we are younger, we're invincible. It's just a little uncomfortable. Luckily, I have not, and once again, knocking on wood, I have not suffered any like real terrible injuries. I've had some. It's actually not true. I've had some like scary-ish injuries, but nothing that kept me out an extended period of time. I pinched a nerve once where I kind of like lost some feeling in my leg. That was scary for like a week as I reworked that out. Otherwise, I've had like normal knee issues. I had a ankle injury that I thought I broke my ankle, but it was just a pretty bad sprain. Otherwise, yeah, I've been very lucky in my life, especially during my sports life, that I did not find myself injured all that often. A couple concussions too, but that was just from playing soccer. Knocked my head off the crossbar a couple of times, and it'll do that to you.
Jeez, you are super lucky. I have been through it, like just about everything. Have you broken any bones in your life?
No, not to my knowledge.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe my thumb.
I always
don't think so.
I always trip out like when I meet people who have not suffered any crazy injuries or broken bones and everything, because I am somebody who bless my parents for having this kid, this child that just had to sprain everything and break everything all the time.
Crash dummy coup? Question
pretty
mark?
much. Actually, there's some funny stories. You know what? We'll continue story time. We do have to take a break, but I'm going to continue story time to tell you guys about the other instances where I did break a couple of bones, sprain everything. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live on our YouTube channel right now and every single Monday. So be sure to like and subscribe. And you guys can also comment in the live chat. I know Caesar has been talking a lot about UFL.
My goat. My goat,
It's like
Caesar.
all the comments regarding UFL and potentially bringing some of that Hawaii football reboot here, which we will get
And
to a
don't
little
forget
later.
Kalani Sitake as well. He's always going to make sure and get our guy from BYU in on the conversation.
That's who's going to come in here.
Don't you
When
worry.
Hawaii finds all that money that we need.
No. It's for our UFL team. We're going to keep, because
When
Timmy's
Hawaii finds all that money that we need.
Timmy is going to get things turned around here, and then we're going to bring in the UFL. And Caesar's going to be the GM, by the way. I can't wait for this. Caesar's actually going to hold some valuable position with one of these franchises, and I'm going to look at all you beautiful people and I'm going to say, I told you so. I told you so. Somebody doesn't think this much about sports and options and whatever without having the ability to put together something pretty fun. That is my pitch. That's my pitch, guys.
That's the overall pitch when we bring back a UFL team, should that happen. Actually, I saw... Did you see that whole, like, The Rock was supposed to be, like, to do, like, the intro or whatever for the first game? And I guess he was on his, like, he's millionaire problems. He was on the private plane to go from Hawaii to the continent, and the pilot had to turn the plane around because there was something wrong with the plane, and was just, like, apologize, like, I'm so sorry, like, I can't continue to fly over the ocean. So, like, The Rock posted it on The Rock posted on his social media that he couldn't be there for the opening game of the UFL because he's back in Hawaii because, and someone of that star-studdedness can't travel commercial. He would get mobbed. Like, everybody would be like, The Rock.
He could, but he'd have to buy out all of first class for him and his security. What is his security detail like? Like, who is security for The Rock? Because, like, I look at him, I'm like, does he need security? Like, he does. Yeah. But, like, does he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, I'm glad the pilot was smart enough to make that decision as well, because I know that can be really difficult. But with what we've seen, especially at times, people try and push the limit too much, and that's when you see accidents happen. You'd rather him be able to go to all the other UFL games and continue to try and push for a better league and all of these things rather than, force something. So,
but luckily he's safe back in
Everything's
Hawaii.
fine?
Everything's fine, and
No,
the
I did not
UFL
see that,
continues.
though, by the way.
on his Instagram, he posted this long video about kind of explaining why he wasn't there. But to close out hour number 2, we were kind of having like a little story time because Paul had I told you guys about the funny and not so funny story of how I tore my ACL. It's funny, we can laugh about it now. Everything's fine, and went back to playing soccer. Had the best surgeon, like the chief of orthopedics at Kaiser. I was like, I think he was on vacation. I'm like, I'm not scheduling my surgery with anybody else except the best guy that's there. Like, someone's going to fix my knee. And then went through the whole rehab process, which was pretty crazy. And this was when like Grey's Anatomy was like really, really popular. And my what you call it, physical therapist, his name was like Derek, and he had he had Derek Shepherd type hair. And
my God.
I was like, did anyone tell you that it's funny that you have your name's Derek and you have Derek Shepherd hair? And he's like,
he's
just
like,
laughing.
yeah, I get it all the time.
Sure. But he actually look like what is the actor's name again that plays him?
There's no way you're asking
Patrick
me.
Dempsey.
He
didn't look like Patrick Dempsey. He was Asian for one thing, but then he just had the hair though. So totally did not look alike. But he had the lots of flowy hair, and yeah, that was a fun process. So if you ever need to recover from an ACL tear, especially young athletes, the main thing is to get the flexibility. Like, you just power through, make sure you get the flexibility, break up all the scar tissue that's in there in your knee, because that really saved me, and I essentially got to continue my soccer playing I don't know if it's a career, soccer playing days in women's league because I had the best surgeon, went through the best physical therapy, and it's pretty much like my legs are essentially the same. But so I was asking Paul though if he suffered any significant injuries, and it always trips me out when there are people that haven't broken bones or anything because I have put my parents through it. Like I was a soccer player. I was just an athlete. I played soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, basketball, surfing, obviously. And I think I've suffered significant injuries in like all the sports that I've played. On top of the reasons that I have broken bones were not because of injuries, but the funniest thing is that I think like Poles hate me. So I tore my ACL. That's probably one of the significant injuries in when I was like, I don't know, I think I was like 5 or 6. I broke my leg was like the first thing I did. I guess maybe not entirely. I fractured my leg. It wasn't a compound, but just a regular fracture, like hairline fracture. Actually, no, more significant than a hairline fracture. It was when I went to the jungle gym across the street at the elementary, and then I was like almost similar to how I tore my ACL. I was like on the jungle gym. I was trying to go to the middle like I would see the big kids. I fell off, and then I broke my leg, and I was crying, obviously, but because it wasn't a compound fracture where the bone like sticks out, same thing. My dad is like, "Oh, you just fell. Like you're fine. You're fine."
That sounds
You're
familiar.
I can't believe I've never told everybody this story before. So my dad is like, "You're fine, honey. You're fine." Like he's totally like, again, the tough love dad. He gets me on my bike and he's like, "We can ride your bike home." And I'm crying. And then he's like, "Man, why is she crying so much?"
With a broken leg, he's like, "Yeah, let's just ride this bike."
Again, he couldn't tell. It was just a fracture as a kid. So he couldn't tell that anything was wrong. He thought I just fell. Then he's like, "Come on, let's ride your bike. You can go." He puts my leg on the pedal and we're like riding home. It wasn't super far. Like it's not too far from home, but still. And I'm just crying. And then we're at home and I'm still crying. And he's like talking to my mom, and then like, maybe we should take her to the hospital. Like she hasn't stopped crying. And then again, I think 4, 5, or 6, like really young. So don't exactly know how to tell them like, I think my leg's broken. It just hurts, right? You're just a kid.
You're just like, this hurts really bad.
And then they take me to the doctor. I don't know if it was like that day or the next day.
Right.
I think I might have powered through it like overnight. Actually,
I would imagine.
So,
hearing this story, that seems the most likely case.
So they take me to the doctor, they do the x-ray, and then the doctor comes in and is like, points like,
"Hey,
you see this? Her leg is fractured." My dad obviously felt so horrible. He's like, "Oh my gosh." And then he's like, "Oh, do you want to go to the toy store? Let's go get some ice cream." He felt so bad. About this. As a good parent would feel after they took.
Of course.
He felt horrible. So after his poor daughter on a fractured leg, just a toddler essentially, rides her bike home, crying. No. And then yes, I obviously get a cast. Everything's fine.
All right. I'll ask this question, okay? Because this is a stark difference between my sister and I, and since you're an only child, your parents didn't have this. With me, I did not cry a ton. I was a pretty calm child overall. My sister cried at everything. My sister earned the nickname Crying Charlie from my dad, to the point where I think she probably has plenty of stories similar to that where he's like, "You're fine, you're fine, you're fine," because she would cry so much, but they were actually injured. So I'll ask this question. Did you just cry a lot as a kid when you were in pain?
I kind of did.
Like, was that something where your dad had reason to believe like, she's probably going to be fine. She'll bounce back up in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was kind of like I would just fall and be like, meh.
Which, by the way, 95% of all kids. I just want to make sure Dad's not vilified here.
No,
you know,
no.
Of
And like I
course,
said,
of course,
he did feel bad
of
afterwards.
Of course. I'm picking, but I always gotta get his back. You know, that's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy right there. Oh my goodness.
If you thought that was enough, but wait, there's more. There's more broken bones that I suffered.
There's more.
Again, so fell off the jungle gym trying to climb to the middle like the big kids, fractured my leg.
Nice one.
Fast forward, I don't know, I think I was maybe 8. My dad had like one of those
wait a long time.
he had one of those like pull-up bars like in the house. It's just like not very big, and because my dad is like a big workout guy, so he had it in the house. And then I think he's like on the phone. I don't know where I don't know if my mom was home, but she was busy doing something. And back then, right, you don't entirely watch your kids. You just let them do whatever. And so this is when I was doing gymnastics too, and I was a big fan of gymnastics. And so I climb up over my dad's pull-up bar, and then I'm swinging. And well, actually before that, I was totally gymnastics in mind, because I pull the futon like as if it's a gymnastics mat. I pull the futon by the pull-up bar because I knew I was going to swing off and try to land like a gymnast.
Oh, God.
So I climb up on the pull-up bar, and I am swinging, and to my heart's desire, like I'm envisioning like I'm Dominic Moceanu or something, and I swing off. Clearly, I'm not a trained gymnast, and then I miss the mat, fall on my back, but where it was positioned was close to where the kitchen is, so it's tile, and so my elbow slams on the tile, and there you go, compound fracture. Like my bone is sticking out, my arm is in the other direction.
Oh,
I'm
my
crying.
God.
My dad was on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, let me call you back." And he like sees me on the ground, just like, and he's like, and tries to like put my arm back to where
God,
it is.
I love your dad so much. Oh, I love your dad so much.
Crying, but like, I'm apologizing to my dad. Like, I am like, Dad,
that checks.
I'm so sorry.
That checks out.
I'm so sorry. And he's just like, why are you apologizing?
All of this checks out. Between knowing both of you, this checks out. You apologizing for breaking your own arm is the
Well, because I
funniest
knew,
thing
I was
might
like,
have
I don't
heard.
think I was supposed to do that. Like,
Well,
climb up on the.
Yes, I would say that you're probably better off not breaking your arm and compound fracturing your arm. That is probably correct in your assessment right there, my friend.
So, yeah, broken elbow, arm the other direction. Then they take me to like the hospital. Actually, I think I actually went in the ambulance. This is when the ambulance wasn't ridiculously priced.
$400 million.
Yeah, so you could actually get in the ambulance if you had insurance and it was free. So ambulance came, and I remember this vividly. It's so crazy. I remember them asking me if I ever broke a bone before or anything, and I said no. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yes, I
that's
did.
right. I had this whole leg
Wait,
thing.
I lied.
So again, the swinging bars, like all my significant injuries, a fracture, a broken elbow, and a torn ACL all came at the hands of trying to hang. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. But outside of those are my most
You
significant.
just wanted to keep your dad on his toes.
I mean, outside of that, like I remember spraining my ankle for the first time playing soccer, and the same thing. Like my dad, obviously, like I'm like, oh, this is so sore, and then my dad is like, oh, can you move your toes? It's not broken, so just put ice
Pretty
on
much.
it. Never go to the doctor, right? I think that's why now I have
Dump it
bionic.
in an ice bucket and call it a night.
I think that's why I have bionic ankles, is because you just wrap it up. And I learned how to wrap my own ankles anytime I had even like the smallest ankle sprain. You just learn how to do. I think I've had maybe at least 5 significant ankle sprains throughout my athletic career. I've sprained my finger when I was playing goalie, when it like jams. Basketball injury too, but mine's came with playing goalie, concussions, obviously. And what else did I sprained my foot in college. That to me, that was like the worst, actually. That like, cause it's pretty much your planting.
Sucks.
It took the longest to recover. It was worse than an ankle sprain.
Well,
the
you
foot
also need
sprain
it.
is, yeah.
Like, you can't just avoid your foot.
Yeah, and you have to, when you're playing sports, you push off, right? So that's where it sends the shock of pain, like from that foot sprain.
I'm sitting here trying to think what could have possibly led to my luck of being less injured, and I'm like, maybe it is because I did martial arts when I was like young. Like my dad, my parents, I should say, but more so my dad, put me into karate when I was 3 years old. And I think the flexibility and the like what we did in that probably helped it, the balance, the flexibility and whatnot, to make it so that I could land at different angles and I was used to doing whatever. Like, I'm just trying to theorize why, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I did all of these things. Like, you and I have a very similar history in terms of like, I'd swing around on the monkey bars and I played like 73 sports and I was always active and I was doing all these things. Like, I had opportunities to get injured, but I luckily didn't. So I'm curious. I'm trying to think back why, especially because
I told you
someday.
See, you weren't Kolohe like me.
Yes,
Again, all of my significant injuries were because I was doing something that I probably shouldn't have been doing.
You and my little sister would get along very well.
That's the big thing. Other than that, it's been the natural. You're just an athlete, like I said. Sprained ankles, concussion, sprained fingers, sprained wrists a couple of times. The ripped callus on my hands from gymnastics and the uneven bars. Like, I've pretty much been through it all with all the. I mean, I've gotten banged up by the reef when taking a bad wipeout when I was surfing.
All right, you got me beat there. I don't have that one on the resume.
Got wiped out on like the shore break and had the whole feet touch the back of your head moment where you're just like, oh, did that just really happen to me? Like the scorpion kind of
I
thing.
can do that, I think.
Yeah,
actually,
so that was crazy. I mean, I've been through it all. And then the foot sprain. And then I remember, I always say how I've never actually gotten to a fight, fortunately, but I do know what it feels like to be false cracked because you guys are just learning a lot about me right now.
I just started thinking about you swinging on somebody, and that I almost lost it. I had to turn off my mic almost for a second. It was just because. Well, here's the thing. There's two sides of it. Because one, I only see you in like the very nice cool way, so like I can't really see you losing your cool to the point of wanting to like see red and just lay.
Yeah.
But then on the other end, I'm also that way for the most part. And I know how I get when I see red, so I imagined you in that light. So it was a very funny moment.
Oh my gosh. But so my last game in my collegiate career, I went up, I think I told this story before, but it was a goal kick. So I went up to try to head it. The girl from HPU we were playing HPU, flies over and like heads the ball too, but heads my head. So I had no idea what was going on. And so it just felt like, oh my gosh, like this is what it feels like to be false cracked, because I had no idea what was going on, punched in the face, nose bleeding and everything. Luckily, I have no bridge because I'm Filipino, so the nose wasn't broken, but it was bleeding profusely. And then afterwards, when everything kind of sunk in, and I probably had a concussion, but whatever. And
back
afterwards,
when concussions didn't matter.
Yeah, back when you never got tested for a concussion. I was just trying to get them to stick, because it was my last game of my collegiate career.
You're trying to get through
I'm like, get me back in there, like put the gauze in my nose, and I want to go back in and play. I didn't get it because it was already kind of towards the end of the game, and unfortunately I didn't get to go back in. But yeah, I had like the next day had kind of like the half black eye, but I just realized like, oh, that's what it feels like to get like false cracked, because it totally, my mom and my team, I was on one side of the field and my teammates were on the opposite side of the field, because it was around like the midfield, I think. And they said like they could hear it. It just sounded like, and everyone could hear how loud it was. So I'm like, okay, I guess that is how it feels like to get punched in the face. So do not recommend. It's not fun.
That one I do know what it feels like. That's from my martial arts days.
Yeah.
I've gotten that one a couple too many times.
Oh my gosh.
right.
Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed our little story time there. But we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Liscaro gracing us with his presence after being stuck in some traffic this morning. I know it was getting a little crazy as I saw all of the traffic alerts popping up on my phone during that first hour. But we were having, before we kind of get, I guess this is kind of a transition into NCAA basketball actually, but before we get into that, Michael, Paul and I were talking about, well, mostly me, because I'm the one that had all of those injuries when I was, Kolohe Ku, when growing up, where I just, couple broken bones, torn ACL, and a lot of sprains and whatever. Have you experienced any significant injuries yourself, Michael?
Nope, no injuries for me. I have not been on the IR. Cool. I've been fine. I've been pretty good. No injuries for me. I think maybe because my parents didn't want me, or my mom didn't want me getting hurt. So I never actually really played that many sports growing up. So no real major injuries for me. But I don't know. I never actually broke any bones. Never really. Maybe I drank a lot of milk growing up, and that really helps. So yeah, drink your milk.
Again, you guys are the good kids that don't go like climbing things when you're not supposed to. I'm surprised I haven't fallen out of a tree. Like, that's something we all used to do growing up at the park and at Honowai Park. Shout out 94 block. But climb on the big trees. Thankfully, I didn't fall out of any of them. The whole thing.
You got all of it out of your system because now whenever we set things up, I'm the one that's stumbling. As you guys are all
and now
all
I'm just like extra safe. Like, I drive like a grandma. I drive the speed limit. Paul's ridden with me. I don't drive crazy, and so
there are worse things. Funny thing is, like, yes, you drive safely. There are people who drive safely who are not driving safely. You actually just drive safely. Like, you just follow the rules of the road. There are people who are too safe out here that drive crazy.
Yeah, like driving slow in the fast lane. Move over. I experienced that the other day on the freeway.
Stopping when there's not a stop sign. It drives me crazy. Anyways, basketball.
So, speaking of injuries, though, because when we're looking at the NCAA women's basketball tournament, shout out Anissa Morrow for LSU. I mean, that game was a really good game between UCLA and LSU in the Elite Eight. UCLA winning 72-65. But Anissa Morrow takes a shot in the back. I forget which teammate it was, but got kind of her teammate, Lauren Betts, like pushed her teammate into her as she was running in, broke her nose from the back of her teammate's head. They wipe up the blood, get the blood to stop, and they say it's a broken nose. And then she goes back into the game. I'm like, all right, I ain't got nothing on Anissa Morrow because she like literally broke her nose. I was telling my Chaminade soccer story where I got false cracked essentially, and luckily my nose wasn't broken, and I wanted to go back into the game. Should it have been broken? I mean, I don't know if that's something that I could do actually, but
I don't think it'd be safe to do so without a mask.
She went in though without a mask.
Like, I just don't think it's safe. Because I said this in my group chat with friends. If Lauren Betts caught her with an elbow to the nose with a broken nose, and I don't know if it's actually broken either. I know that there were some conflicting reports post-game as well. But even so, even if it was close to it, even after getting popped just once the way she did, because it was brutal. I mean, that's scary as all. Hawaii fans, we got an opportunity to see Lauren Betts in person, and she's 6'7". I don't know if that is done justice on television. Like, she is huge, massive, strong. Nonetheless, all the credit in the world to Anissa Morrow and really LSU for playing a really strong game against just what was a better UCLA squad. And the Bruins all throughout the entire season have been exactly that. One of, if not the best team in the country. They show it against a quality and worthy opponent in LSU, and it took literally everything that they had. And Anissa Morrow, a potential broken nose even, And at the end of the day, the Bruins moving on to the Final Four for the first time in program history.
Yeah,
Oh.
UCLA's on. South Carolina having a couple of close games that they had to escape. So South Carolina punches their ticket as well, beating Duke 54-50. And then on the other side, the game's happening today in the Elite Eight. There you have USC, the 1 seed in the Spokane region, against the number 2 seed UConn, a rematch from last year in which UConn beat USC. And now, as we mentioned before, USC without the services of Juju Watkins, who is done for the season via a torn ACL. And then on the other side, you have the 1 seed in Texas taking on TCU and Haley Van Lith. And a shout out to Haley Van Lith too, like just kind of this added resurgence of her career. I know that from afar, if you're not really paying attention to her story, it kind of is a lot because she's transferred so much, but she has recently shared a lot about dealing like struggles she had with her mental health. So it's good to see her in a really, really good place now at TCU, being the superstar that we know she could be and the baller that she is. So that's going to be a fun one. But gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the couple of games coming up tonight to essentially determine the final 2 slots in the NCAA Women's Basketball Final Four?
I'm really excited still for UConn USC. I know that it is disappointing to not have Juju there, but we've talked about Kiki, how awesome she has been. I still think that they are a phenomenally coached team, and at the end of the day, they're a team who has seen themselves beat UConn already. Once again, I understand it came with Juju Watkins, but at the end of the day, proof of concept, we can do this, goes a long way for a team filled with phenomenal players in the Trojans. And for UConn, this is Paige's last shot. I think she really wants a national title. This is a team who has the ability to do it and is one of the strongest 2 seeds that you'll ever see in terms of both coaching, talent, whatever it may be. This is a big opportunity for them to continue on and keep on dancing into the Final Four, and after that becomes what could be a really, really awesome Final Four on both sides with some pretty high matchups. The other one with TCU,
Yeah.
I like Haley Van Lith a lot.
Yeah.
I like their coach a lot. Outside of that,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for Paige, like she's just from UConn, she's just very underrated. Like she's not like the flashy player, but she just goes in and puts in the work and just keeps grinding. And then I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but Haley Van Lith, I think she's the first person on the men's and women's side to make 5 Elite Eights. I think that was the
I'd believe it.
the record. So yeah, I mean, shout out to her. She was also on the Olympic team, I think, for the 3v3. So shout out for her, representing her country. And yeah, I want to see TCU and UConn can advance. For USC, I mean, it sucks without Juju, but I don't think there's still more years to go, and as long as someone's mama's trying to put in between, give Juju a chance to redeem herself on the court. So, and just it'll be Paige's year this year for UConn.
Yeah, especially again, I mentioned it last week where essentially Paige and Juju would cancel out each other in this game, but without Juju, I mean, it's going to be hard. And the spread shows it. UConn is your 14.5-point favorite over USC today, where if Juju Watkins was in there, chances are we would see a significantly smaller spread for the TCU Texas side. Texas is the 7.5-point favorite over TCU, so we'll see what happens. That's interesting that you consider Paige underrated. I was like, I don't know, this is just a superstar like that.
To the like people that don't follow women's basketball as much, like myself, she's not being promoted in the media and in whatever sponsorships and whatnot, as much as we see Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. So that's why I think it's a good chance for the people that don't really follow too much to kind of get to love her game more.
That's interesting. That's cool. I understand the perspective, but because Paul and I do follow, and I was like, well, we've been talking about Paige forever, but
I don't think you're
like
wrong.
I like to see it from when you don't follow it as closely.
Well, people couldn't pronounce her last name correctly last year. That's why I just reverted her Paige, because I don't want to mess that up right now.
Except the people in this studio. It's very easy. It looks weird, but it's Beckers. It's basically if the U wasn't there.
It looks funny. No, I think that's a fair point, though, in terms of, Last year, a lot of the women's tournament was discussed about, Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark. And once again, rightfully so. She is phenomenal. But there are a lot of phenomenal women's basketball players, and Paige Beckers is one of them. She is one who, for a long time, I've kind of hinted at how excited I am to watch her and Caitlin play against each other in the W for a long time. Mm-hmm. I'm still excited for that. I think the Dallas Wings fans are also very excited. I was going to say, she's going to be the
number one overall draft pick.
So it's funny because she is both perfectly rated and totally underrated at the same time, where people within the women's basketball world really do appreciate her for what she is in terms of her talent, her generational personality as well. Like, I think she is somebody who you can completely flip a franchise around with, similar to a Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she did not get the same fanfare, and part of that is being on a UConn team that is so star-studded year over year, whether it's
and she was injured twice?
Yeah, she has dealt with some pretty brutal injuries herself. But no, she's going to be the top pick in the WNBA draft after this year. She has an opportunity to cement her legacy with a national championship and a really good field that's remaining. The one in her way still currently is a USC team. And Lindsay Gottlieb, I'm going to give her flowers, guys. Like, she is a good coach. I know that everybody loves to be like, oh, well, when you're a good coach but you have a great player, they love to just go, well, it's the great player that makes you so great as a coach. Absolutely. Gottlieb's pretty darn good at what she does, though. So interested to see what she draws up against this UConn roster.
Definitely going to be more of a strategic game that USC has to play again. UCLA, South Carolina, the 2-1 seeds that are already in the Final Four. And could we see the 2 seeds on the flip side go into that with UConn and TCU? Because on the men's side, you got all number 1 seeds that are in the Final Four with Auburn and Florida and Duke and Houston. So when we come back, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this Final Four matchup that we will see on the men's side on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Liscaro on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Thank you for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10. on your radio dial or online at hawaiisportsradio.com or tuning in on the podcast or on our YouTube channel as we are streaming live right now this and every Monday. So check out our YouTube and be sure to like and subscribe. We're talking about the NCAA basketball tournament. We're talking about the women's tournament and now moving into the men's as the men's Final Four is set. We got an all number 1 seed Final Four. It was funny because when the UCLA and LSU game was going on, it was perfect because that Houston-Tennessee game was kind of boring. So I was like, all right, I can just entirely focus on the women's game. Like, that was more entertaining for me watching it and instead of the Houston-Tennessee game. So Houston goes in there. So it's Houston and Duke and Auburn and Florida. Guys, what are we thinking?
You first, my friend.
Well, I think the biggest talk then sports radio and in the media this week and after the weekend games was that there's no March Madness because it's all 4 number 1 seeds, and I don't know, like I don't think the sport is getting ruined. You know, we're getting the best players, but you know, and people want to blame NIL, but money has been talking for like the past couple of years, right? Because I mean, nice to see the mid-majors kind of get an upset win and kind of surprise some teams. But what usually happens with these mid-majors teams when that happens is that their coach usually leaves for a higher-paying job. So it's not like money hasn't been around. So it's just one of those things where like fans are going to complain, media's going to complain that NIL is ruining it. But you know, I think it's kind of cool that we're actually going to get all 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. Like, you want to see the best teams. Yes, you root for Cinderella stories, but we get to see high-level quality basketball, and I think that's something that maybe hasn't been happening a lot because of, you know, people leaving early to go to the NBA draft to make some money, but now they can make money and stay in college, and I think that's great for fans that like the college game and don't really care for the NBA, because I know Ku mentioned in hour 1 about LeBron complaining, and some, you know, we sometimes that just turns people off. But with college basketball, you have the deep rooted fan base, right? Like I have a buddy that doesn't really watch NBA games, but like he doesn't even text me because him and his family are big Duke fans living in North Carolina, and I think that's great because it's more spread out. It's because there's no Cinderella story, but you know, that's just the way things are now.
Yeah, I also like that it's not your typical like schools that we've been accustomed to. Like you got Florida in there, obviously Auburn. I'm a big fan of Bruce Pearl, their head coach there at Auburn. Houston's in there, and Duke. So Duke's kind of like the only one that screams like, oh gosh, here we go again. Like Duke's back in there after you thought that they were having kind of some down seasons, and then they're right back in there. Obviously, Cooper Flagg is leading the way. I mean,
you guys
Florida,
pretty good at basketball, huh?
Florida, though, I mean, if there is any team and coach that feels the worst after this tournament, it has got to be Texas Tech. I mean, they should, by all accounts, be in the Final Four.
They had a CSUN level collapse.
Yeah, it was there.
Sorry.
It was
Sorry,
their
that was mean.
It pretty much, like, we were talking about baseball earlier, it was pretty much UH baseball against CSUN yesterday. That's what happened to Texas Tech. Like, they had, like a 9-point lead with, like, just over a minute or something in the game, and then, like, Florida just comes back, and oh my gosh, it was like Texas Tech has to be kicking themselves because should they have not choked, like the biggest choke job that I've seen in the tournament, should be in the Final Four. But nonetheless, that's why you close out the games, and Florida is in there. Again, the Houston-Tennessee game was an easy one for Houston to get in. Auburn, Michigan State, another easy game, and so was the Duke-Alabama game. But that Florida-Texas Tech game.
It was really
it gives me more confidence, though, for Auburn. I do see, just real quick, I was like, I see Auburn. I see it being Auburn and Duke in the championship game.
I think that's fair at this point. It's tough, right? Where you go into this final weekend, yeah. I really like Florida. Like, I really, really do. I like what they do. I like their team overall, like the balance, the depth. They've had some really scary moments coming down the stretch, but and Walter Clayton Jr., is there a more clutch player in the nation right now? Like, it feels like
my gosh,
if you need a bucket, you just go to that kid. It has been unreal to see, and if I was a Florida fan, and for one of my brackets, I am. One of my 2 brackets. Don't worry. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. I am. But yeah, Florida Auburn, that one's going to be a really, really fun back and forth matchup. Auburn, I mean, this is an incredible team, top to bottom. Pettiford feels like a guy who is just getting started for the Tigers. And then you have Janai Broom, who is in some really, really rarefied air at the college level in terms of his NCAA tournament statistics and what he's been able to produce during his time at this level. So is this now their opportunity? We just talked about Paige Beckers and, UConn. Can they finally get back to the pinnacle? Can they get back to the top? Can Auburn finally break through? Can they finally get there? Because, I mean, you even hear Charles Barkley talking. I would have never seen a day coming where Alabama and Auburn basketball are in the Elite 8. He went on this whole diatribe about it. It was incredible. Houston-Duke is going to be a lot of fun. I don't want to overlook that matchup. Duke, it does feel like we're on a crash course for Duke-Auburn, by the way. I don't want to disagree with you there, but I don't want to overlook this Houston team. Kelvin Sampson is a phenomenal basketball coach. He's somebody who has his team extremely disciplined.
It's Gonzaga, by the way.
It's Gonzaga.
He had to correct the reporter on how to say Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Yeah. No, I love Kelvin Sampson. He is a very, very good basketball coach. They're a team that's also similar to Auburn, gotten far into the tournament, but haven't quite been able to break through, especially this Houston program hasn't been able to break through in a while. I'm excited to see, can they, in a disciplined way, I mean, they really did a nice job to get into the Final Four. I'll put it like that. Maybe do we see a little bit of a shock? Michael talked a little bit about not seeing a ton of Cinderellas when you have four number ones. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 1, which is 4, and blah, 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 blah. There's some sort of Cinderella. There's some sort of upset. You can find things to enjoy, and this is just the second time in NCAA tournament history that this has happened, that there have been 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four on the men's side. Enjoy history. Enjoy things like this. There are a lot of really good players, a lot of really good coaches, a lot of really good basketball games still to be played.
All right, guys. So taking a look at the odds right now, there's a couple of interesting ones here for the men's tournament. So there's one group listed on, this is via BetMGM. So Duke, you can get Duke at plus 100 or take the field at minus 120. When you look at some of the other odds, though, to win it all, you have Duke at, again, plus 100. You got Florida at plus 275, Houston at plus 425, and Auburn wraps it up at plus 525. So, if we were in Vegas, who are we putting our money on?
Oh, I guess you put your money on Duke.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to go against Duke at this point where I am somebody who believes very much so in talent over everything else, especially when you have 4 phenomenal coaches who are left. It's going to be the guys who are on the court to make the plays. Duke has the best player in the country in Cooper Flagg. That's just my simple fact of the matter opinion. I'm probably taking Florida, though, just because, I don't know, they feel Cinderella is strong, but they feel like the team whose destiny it is this year to take down Duke.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
You think you have it inside
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Liscaro on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. All right, a couple of things that I do want to make sure we mention, though, before we kind of close it out here, as we were talking about college basketball, men's basketball particularly. We had mentioned last week where former UC Riverside men's basketball coach Mike Pyle is now going to be the head coach at Fordham. Also coming in over the weekend, though, Eric Olin, the longtime head coach at UC San Diego, the team that did what they needed to do in their first year, both on the men's and women's sides, of course, but did what they needed to do to punch their ticket, win the Big West, all of that stuff. And naturally, what happens is that when you have that type of success, that's going to happen. Again, he's been the coach at UC San Diego. Well, technically been part of the program since 2004, has been the head coach since 2013 up until now. And right when they got the first good year, he is poached, and now he will be going over, which is kind of ironic because now Hawaii will see them still in the Mountain West.
I did chuckle at that.
So he's the new head coach at New Mexico. So he got poached right away after being at UC San Diego all that time. Had no, I don't want to say he had no offers to leave, but this had to have been the significant offer. Again, Mountain West, you're looking at a couple $100,000 raise at least. I haven't seen the details of the pay or the contract, but yeah, Eric Olin leaving after how long? Over 20 years of being at UC San Diego, and now after that one phenomenal year, going over to the Lobos.
Yeah, bye for now. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. Really awesome for Olin, who, by the way, like you said, has been at UC San Diego so long that I had just come to assume that he was a California guy. He's from Alabama. So no ties to San Diego outside of being there for a long time. The Tritons did move quickly to name a new head coach, though. They named the associate head coach the new head man, Clint Allard, who graduated in 2008, a graduate of UC San Diego, former player for them, and has been on the staff for a really long time as well. It seemed that a lot of people in the know over with the Tritons really liked that hire for them. So happy for them to get a move on that. That's what you have to do, but an unproven commodity now as they try and build off of what was a phenomenal year. Eric Olin goes to New Mexico, where he essentially takes it's double what not money-wise, sorry. It is basically
it might be
double of what this opportunity was for him here in the Big West. The Big West, out of the 31 conferences, is rated as the 12th best. The Mountain West rated as the 6th best when it comes to men's college basketball. That should make things a little bit easier when it comes to recruiting. It should make things a little bit easier because he'll have a little bit more money as well. Curious to see how he does, because he has done so much with so little in his time at UC San Diego at the Division I level. He did a ton at the D2 level, but I don't know what their resources were like comparatively there. But yeah, a really awesome hire for New Mexico. Sucks for UC San Diego, but it seems that they're happy with the guy that they're getting to fill in that spot. And now two really, really good head coaches from the Big West. Moving on to new greener pastures. Is that what we'll refer
like
to?
Like we said,
as?
see ya.
Yeah, see ya, except Eric Olin soon. We'll see you again.
Well, inflation is a real thing, and even though he's been at UC San Diego for how many years? 20 years. Like,
something like
you
that.
you gotta cash in when you have a great
Exactly.
season. One person last year that cashed in on a great season was former Chaminade guard Ross Reeves, who transferred to
Good shout out by you.
Nova Southeastern, because he's a national champion on the Division II level. Former Chaminade guard, your alma mater. Yeah, so shout out Chaminade softball. They beat HPU 2 straight games. So it kind of sucks because I was there. But yeah, shout out to Ross Reeves for hitting the transfer portal. But Paul, I'm surprised we didn't, there was a big transfer portal news on Saturday during our game. I know we didn't really get a chance to talk about it because we were broadcasting a softball game. Oh, by the way, Leilehua scored 11 runs. So we talk about, the Hawaii baseball being surprised. Like, Leilehua did it 11 runs the day before, so not surprised about
Honestly,
Hawaii
I should have
scoring
expected
10.
it. I should have expected it after that. Yeah, no, as you mentioned, we did get a transfer in for Hawaii, Isaac Johnson. In case you missed it, you can check that coverage out on our website, hawaiisportsradio.com. where I've got an article up. You can learn all about the big fish, a 7-footer, a transfer from Utah State, and somebody who I think fans are really going to enjoy learning about. High school teammates with the other transfer for the Bows and Tanner Cuff. And later today, hopefully, I'm going to have our 2025 version of the UH men's basketball recruiting tracker up so that you beautiful people can keep up to date with the latest of what I'm hearing, what we're hearing here at Hawaii Sports Radio Network when it comes to the Rainbow Warriors in both the transfer portal, the high school scene, the JUCO scene, whatever it may be. I'll try and let you guys know as much as I can.
I know, it's just funny because it feels like that transfer news got buried by that crazy baseball game that we saw yesterday.
It was
like
insane.
baseball and volleyball were just like such fun games. I was like, oh yeah, we had that transfer thing coming at.
And it's a really big transfer too. Like, it's good that you brought it up, Michael, because
He's 7 feet, Paul. Of course, it's.
I was like, yeah, he's big.
He's big and he's the big fish and whatnot. But like, this is a guy who Evan Mia rates as, or Evan Miyakawa, he rates as a top 20 transfer center in the portal. That's a really nice grab for Hawaii, considering that you're competing with some really, really strong programs who also are going to need some big men. He's a guy who can shoot from long range. He can block shots. He's got NCAA tournament experience. Every single team that he's been on has won 20 games, so he's got a winning pedigree as well. It's something that he expects. And to be fair, this is something that we expect in Hawaii, something that the coaching staff expects to get back to as well. So a great addition for the Rainbow Warriors on top of, like I mentioned before, Tanner Cuff, who was a 4-star transfer recruit as well. So 2 really strong pieces earlier than what we got our first piece last year. If you remember correctly, Tanner Christensen, he announced his commitment to the Rainbow Warriors on April 1st. Hawaii with 2 players already in the back pocket before we've even flipped over from March.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I think for fans that were kind of disappointed about this past season, look, I'm going to say this with no disrespect intended, but this guy is an upgrade over Tanner Christensen. Like, I mean, the stats might not show up because he's played in a stronger conference, and the film doesn't lie. And Paul mentioned, you can go to our social media. We have some brief highlights of him on there. But yeah, Johnson will help carry this team. It's a very great get. I think fans should start to get excited, and it seems like we're gonna get more dogs in the room. So that's a positive sign. I know people want to put down the men's basketball team, but maybe we're gonna go on a big run, and maybe in quote unquote maybe Iran's last year. I don't know.
I'm telling you, this is the championship year.
This is an upgrade over Tanner Christensen, so fans should be really excited.
Hopefully he keeps that mentality. I think that was the frustrating thing with Tanner last year, is like he had it and then he kind of was like after a while. So we need the big fish to keep that dog momentum, and hopefully we'll see there's more transfers. I know Gibson Johnson is like hard on the recruiting trail right now, and the other coaches. I know Brad Davidson's working on a couple of guys, so we'll see like what happens within the next couple of months. Hopefully everyone's here before
before
school
it
starts.
Doesn't take months. I hope we're all pow in the next like 6 weeks.
Last year was frustrating.
That would be really, really special. But keep your eyes on our website for the recruiting tracker.
Woohoo! Perfect. All right. Well, we got to go. Sorry, we had problems with our YouTube, but for now, for Paul Brecht, Michael Liscaro, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Bye.